today in Florida.
Let's bring, for a second, heard that sound and I thought we need to go to it. Let's bring in right now Russ Schrieffer. He's a Republican consultant who's worked on 6 out of the last 7 presidential campaigns, including as senior advisor to Mitt Romney's 2012 presidential run. Russ, it's great to see you.
Yeah, good to see you guys.
Thank you. We wanted to get your take. You, of course, worked with very closely with Romney 4 years ago. And 4 years ago, there was a lot of talk in this last week plus of making a play for Michigan, making a play for Minnesota. That did not work out for Mitt Romney. Listen, if you would, to Donald Trump's campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway.
It is. Michigan is up for grabs. We like what we hear on the ground there. The Real Clear Politics average is great, but it always includes polls taken weeks ago as well as more recently. We like the trend lines there, and in states like New Mexico, Wisconsin, certainly Pennsylvania has always been on our list, Colorado, these states that have been blue for a while, these states that President Obama carried twice. It's also a state where Bernie Sanders cleaned Hillary Clinton's clock. It's like Iowa. It's a state that just does not like Hillary Clinton.
So, Russ, in this final sprint, when you hear Michigan we're making a play for, New Mexico we're making a play for, Wisconsin we're making a play for, Pennsylvania as well, how real is it?
Well, it seems most likely that they haven't locked down Pennsylvania, they haven't locked down Florida, they haven't locked down North Carolina, they haven't locked down states that you have to win before you win states like Michigan or Wisconsin or New Mexico. We've always believed, I always believe that if a Republican's going to be winning a state like Wisconsin or New Mexico, you're going to win. You're going to win well over 270 electoral votes, and you're going to have won all the must-have states like Florida, like North Carolina, and like Ohio. So when you start to expand the map there, it's either one of two things. Either you feel so confident that you're going to almost run the table, or you start realizing that some states like Pennsylvania may not be working out for you, and you have to figure out another way to get to 270 and do the math.
Quickly, if you had to bet, and I'm going to make you take a stand, which one do you think it is in this case?
Well, listen, if I find it interesting that if I were part of the Trump campaign, I would be putting him on a bus and taking him from Philadelphia to Pittsburgh because Pennsylvania, to me, is the must-win state for them.
Okay, Russ.
Yeah, okay.
So, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in. I was going to say, so 16 years ago, it was 16 years ago, you and I were sort of both in the same place. I was covering George W. Bush, and you were working for George W. Bush. And days before Election Day, this big story breaks of a DWI back in the 1970s. And this wasn't an October surprise, this was a November surprise, right? So people, very different obviously between that and James Comey in the emails, but they're both late crises to hit campaigns. How do you deal with big news so late, and how would you assess how the Clinton campaign has dealt with it?
Well, the first thing you do is you have to get all the facts, and the worst thing you can do is get out there and not have and start talking to the press and not having all the facts. So get as much of that as you can. Come up with whatever your argument is, and in the case of Governor Bush at the time, it was come out, apologize, and say, as he had said before, when I did things that I was young and stupid, I did things I did things then. Number 3 is make sure that your surrogates and your campaign team understand what it is that you're trying to communicate. What you don't need is a half a dozen people saying something else. And number 4 is make sure that the campaign sticks to that message. The worst thing you can do is to say something different, because that's the point when it makes news. I think the Clinton campaign so far has done a pretty good job of that. They've gotten the facts, they have their arguments down. What they're doing, which is very interesting, is they're trying to make this into a partisan issue. And they're trying to use it to motivate the Democratic base to turn out for them and say, look what these guys are doing to us, you have to turn out for Hillary Clinton and have to vote for her. So I think they've done a pretty good job so far.
But Russ, we talked about Trump's travel schedule. Let's talk about Hillary Clinton's travel schedule. She we just found out, added to her schedule going to Michigan later this week. Is she going there? Kind of a similar question what John was asking you. Do you think Hillary Clinton is heading to Michigan because she wants to or because she needs to?
I think it's more they're looking for an insurance policy. I think that if you go back to that story you were talking about earlier about lack of enthusiasm with the Clinton campaign among African Americans, I think they realized in order to make sure that Michigan is in their column on election night that they have to gin up support among the African American community and some of the union community, some of their supporters. And I think that a visit there by Hillary Clinton at this point makes sense for them. But listen, it's probably not where they want to be. state. They'd rather be in Arizona. They'd rather be in Indiana. Other states that Barack Obama either came close to or won in 2008 that would expand the map for them.
Russ Sharif, always great to see you. Thanks so much for being with us.
Good seeing you guys.
Thanks, Russ.
All right, soon we are going to hear from Donald Trump himself in Florida, his first of 3 stops there today. Obviously a big push for that very big state. Look at the live pictures right there.
And also this, we're following breaking news. The frantic search for a killer may be over. Police say that they have captured this man connected to the killings of 2 police officers in separate incidents, but minutes apart as they sat in their patrol cars. We have details on that ahead. Stay with us, guys.
Republican, Democrat, Independent. Shouldn't matter. Energy isn't a partisan issue. Producing more oil and natural gas here means more opportunity, more growth, more security for America. Who can't get behind that? I'm Kim, and I'm an energy voter.